back in the greenhouse again, guys. I thought that today I would talk to you about free plants, how to get free plants. A few different ways of doing this. So obviously you could steal them. That would be very wrong and I wouldn't recommend that. So don't go and dig up your neighbour's plants or go down the local garden centre and pinch them, please. But there are lots of ways you can get free plants from your garden, from your friends and neighbours' garden. Saving seeds, really easy to do. Any plant, fruit, veg, whatever you've got. Save the seeds out of your veggies, so squash, pumpkins, really easy to save the seeds out of. Peppers, tomatoes, even cucumbers, courgettes, quite easy to save the seeds out of. Leave them to dry, got them for next year, perfect. Obviously flowers, so let some go to seed, and then just save the seed pods, let them dry out. Make sure you label what they are though, otherwise you'll have a mystery seed surprise. Cuttings, my favourite way of of making new plants and getting free plants. So I've taken some cuttings of my rosemary. It's not that happy where it is, although it does look like it is from this. So I'm just gonna try and make some more because I don't want to kill it by moving it. It's already been moved once and I think that's what upset it. So I'm going to try and turn these into new baby rosemaries. These guys have been in here for a couple of days, so not technically cuttings because I didn't cut them, but while I was weeding I snapped some bits off. This is soapwort. It's a really lovely plant. You can make soap out of it. It's really high in saponins, which is the chemical, the compound that gives you that lathery, foamy thing. So, but I snapped them off when I was weeding. So they've been in here a couple of days now, and actually, if you look, let me put that water down. If you look, I don't know if it's going to focus. Probably not, but anyway, on the end of the plant where it's snapped is already on a couple of them starting to grow this little white bit. This one isn't yet, which is the start of new seeds, new roots. Sorry, not new seeds. So we're going to try and turn those into new plants. And in this little pot, when I was weeding the veg bed, the herb bed even, I've got valerian in there. And it self-seeds and it spreads and it goes mad. So get yourself some plants that like to spread or like to self-seed, and you will have lots of babies, and you can see they've got roots on. So all I've done is dug them out like they are. They've just been sat in a jar of water, and I will put them on, and they should grow quite nicely into new little plants. There's also, not many, there wasn't many bits of it, a couple of St John's wort in there as well. So this, we had a big one in the garden. It does spread when you get it in the ground, and it self-seeds everywhere, so I'm forever pulling these babies out. But there's a few in there, and my big one has finally given up and died. Didn't come back this year, so we're going to make some new ones, and then we'll put some around the garden probably. But so that's one way of doing it. These are some cuttings that I took last year. So this is privet. We've got a privet hedge in between us and the neighbours, and this is really nice variegated privet. So a cutting from last year, so it's not taken long to get to this size. And again, this is lavender. English lavender, and this is a cutting that I took last year. So you can see it's not taken long to get to a decent size. So another way of getting yourself free plants, buy plants that will spread and you can split. So this is a bluegrass. It's just decorative grass. It doesn't get very big. It does seed, so you could potentially take the seeds off it, but it does spread like most grasses do through the root system. So this one, I've got quite a few in little pots that I just split up. split up the main clump into pots. Just repot it on or plant it around the garden and it will spread, and you can just keep going back and splitting it. Same with things like irises. So grasses are really easy to split. Irises are really easy to split. Dahlias, if you've got dahlia, you can just snap the tubers in half. I've got some in pots down here that were from last year that I've just broken the tubers because they're getting too big to try and make some new ones. So yeah, lots of different ways. These are some of the rose cuttings that I took. I've shown them in a previous video. They were all in one pot that I've potted on the other day. They all had lovely roots growing on them. So, and that's only been in there, or I took that cutting maybe 3 weeks ago. So if you can do it, works really well. So let's make some new free plants. Let's do something with these rosemary cuttings. So I'm going to try them a couple of different ways because I just like to play around and see how well they work. So some of the cuttings have got you've got the new growth, so you want to cut the tips, and then here's some sort of the woody growth. So all these bottom leaves I'm just going to pull off because that's not going to help my roots grow, and you want these leaf buds. So on your plants where your leaves grow, you've got like little notches, and that's where your roots are going to grow from. So try and cut them off around a leaf bud junction, and then these I'm actually going to pinch the growing tip out of as well. So that just helps to focus its attention on growing roots rather than trying to keep growing up, if that makes sense. So and honestly I might take a few more of these off. So they're going to look really bare. I'm not going to waste the rosemary because why would you? It smells delicious and it's really lovely. So we'll take that inside and use it in the kitchen. So you can pinch it out with your fingers if they're a bit tougher, some secateurs or some little snips. So I've got some with hardwood. Some of these guys are not on the hardwood, so we're going to try them with the softwood. And again, we're going to take off these bottom few leaves, and then on here you can see you've got these little ridges. So I'm going to cut just above this little leaf bud, so right on the end. So I'm going to prep all those, and then I'm going to show you what we do next. So some of these longer ones I'm pinching the tip out of, and I'm going to make them into two cuttings essentially. So I'm going to cut them where we've got a pair of leaves. Just going to cut them into two, and I'm going to take the bottom leaves off of that one, so that'll be one, and then again with the other end I'm going to take the bottom leaves off of that one. So you can do that. You can do more than one cutting out of each bit if you cut a long enough piece off. So that's another little way to do it as well. So I'm going to take all my cuttings and I'm going to just pop them in a little bit of water just to wet the ends, really. It's not to give them anything to drink essentially. Potting seed or cutting compost. You want something that's kind of not gonna be really super wet. So this is peat free. It's quite sandy, it's quite gritty, and that's ideal. So that's that. Put it down, and then you want some rooting powder. You can do this two different ways. So one, you can just leave your cuttings in some water, like I've done with the soap pot, and hopefully they'll grow some roots. Doesn't always work. Two, use some rooting compound. This really helps get the roots going and get the seed cuttings growing. So I've made the ends of our seedlings, our cuttings even wet, and I'm just going to dip them in some rooting powder, tap the excess off so they're coated. I'm going to get our pot, and we're just going to put them along the edges, so and just push them in. to the soil. So I'm going to carry on with that and repeat that all the way around. And hopefully in a couple of weeks' time, these will have rooted. So how I keep an eye on that is I keep an eye on the bottom of the pot. If I see roots starting to come out the bottom, great. Keep an eye on the tops as well. So if they start to look like they're dying, just to pull out the ones that aren't doing anything and see if there's any roots coming. If they look healthy, I will just leave them in there until there are roots starting to come out the bottom. As soon as I see roots in the bottom, I'll take them all out, split them up, and then repot them on. So this is exactly what I've done with all these rose cuttings. Yeah, just saw the roots coming out the bottom. They're all starting to grow leaves on the top as well. So that's another sign. If they start to grow and shoot, then you know that it's getting nutrients, it's getting food in there somewhere. So a couple of different ways of getting yourself some free plants, guys. I hope that was helpful. Sorry for rambling. I'm gonna finish up my cuttings and then get ready to go to work. I'll see you later.